Welcome back to the 12 Talk podcast, the UK Seahawks official podcast. My name's Josh, and with me, as always, is my co-host Mitch. We are very, very happy to be welcoming in a gentleman from a UK-based NFL podcast that I listen to all the time. Fantastic pod if you've not listened to it. We've got Dom Ainley from In The Endzone UK. You can follow them. He'll tell you where to follow them, but we're going to be talking all about the off-season because Dom doesn't get the chance to do this on In The Endzone because they look after all of the NFL, and he gets to talk about our beloved Seahawks with us. So we're going to do that. We have got his top 5 draft prospects as well, his draft crushes, and then we're going to have a little bit of a mock draft at the end, as we've done with all of us. You can stay tuned with us. If you are new to the channel, by all means, you can like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. It really, really helps us. What might be a little click for you is a huge thing for us. You can also jump in our Discord. Mitch is the master of the Discord, and he's popped the link in our comments already. And in prep for the mock draft, we'll be using Walk the Mock. If you want to sign up to the full Walk the Mock experience, use code 12Talk at checkout, get 20% off. And you can see exactly what we're going to be doing. But we'll be with Dom. We'll be back with you straight after this. Here we are with our special guest, Dom. Dom, how's it going, dude?
What is happening, guys? How are you?
Yeah, absolutely brilliant. It's great to have you on. We've been conversing over social media for ages. You and I are just trying to get this organised. And what better time than now?
No, thanks for having me. I really appreciate you getting me on the pod. It is it's a luxury for me to be talking straight Seahawks because I don't get the chance. I get immediately booed off as soon as I start to mention it around big Dave and Lil Camo, Titan and Packers fans. They just they shut me down. But I'm here to talk to you guys all about these Hawks.
You haven't got to worry anything about that with us, mate. We will be all Seahawks, all about this. And before we sort of venture further down the Seahawks rabbit hole, obviously we're going to talk about the offseason and get your view on this because it's something you must be dying to talk about.
So much has happened, yeah. So much to talk about.
So before we do that, do you want to tell everyone who's watching, tuning in on audios, where they can find you?
Sure. I mean, it's super simple for us. We are In The Endzone UK, UK-based NFL podcast. Follow us on Instagram or X. It's at In The Endzone UK. We are all over Spotify, Apple Music, generally anywhere you get your podcasts. We don't tend to video our stuff. We just put audio out. It's kind of a luxury for me to come on a pod and have people who are organized enough to look at a camera and wear nice kits.
you just basically what you're doing, the looks, the percentage wise just gone up. Because with me and Mitch, people probably get a bit bored. Whereas when there's a rose between two thorns, it's a bit of eye candy for people. People get bored of our mugs. That's what it is.
I see. Well, look, this is the first time live on camera for me for a podcast, so I'll try and keep myself from sneezing or doing anything weird.
We've had worse, mate. Don't worry about it. It's absolutely fine. Yeah,
I'll test that.
Excellent. Lots of editing for me. Oh, look at you. You got the Stash Cup as well.
Check this out.
They're not wearing trousers. Be careful. See, we have our prototype hat.
I like it.
Which
I
is
want one.
Well,
where can I buy one? Do you sell them yet?
Not yet. Give us time. Mitch's is in the post.
Well,
I like it.
I like it
as well. So. I'd like one of those as well. There you go.
I'll sort you out.
Cross promo. There you go. We'll trade them off. So before we start, I just want to give a shout out to the UK Seahawkers. Obviously, we are the UK Seahawkers official podcast. We're very proud to be the UK Seahawkers official podcast. If you'd like to become a UK Seahawker, as Dom, you a UK Seahawker?
Do you know what? I'm not. I want to become one as well.
There we go. Perfect. So this is right up your alley. Mitch and I are paid up members, but it's £12 for an individual, £20 for a family of 4 in the same house.
Bargain.
If you're out, exactly. And I like it's £12 only. You get access to our meetups, which we'll talk about very shortly. You get access to a 10% discount at the pro shop. You can be put into multiple raffles and prize draws there. You can be eligible for game day field passes as well if you get yourself out to Seattle. And each year you get some amazing stash.
Look at that.
So we always get a patch, which I still need to sew onto my jacket, ready for our meetup next month. This year we've got some coasters. You get your wristband, and you also get your lovely membership card. This is Mitch's. So for anyone who doesn't know Mitch's full name, there you go.
Bloody hell, mate! You exposed me there.
That's it.
Sorry,
Stalkers.
mate, sorry.
Stalkers welcome.
And this year's national meetup is in Glasgow. So it's at Admiral Woods, 3rd of May. So Mitch and I are going to be there from the 2nd, and then traveling home very groggy on the 4th. But it's going to be an amazing time. You can still get tickets, I believe. It's £5 per person if you're a paid up UK Seahawker. Get yourselves out there. Come and meet us. Come and meet other people within our Discord and our listeners and watchers and UK 12s, because it's nice for us all to get together. As Dom's finding out, he gets to talk Seahawks with other UK Seahawks fans. And why not do it in person?
That's the dream.
And
you just sold me on
sink
it,
a pint.
so there you go.
Exactly. Sick a pint. And there's always Fireball on the go. And this is some of their beautiful faces from the last meetup in Newark. That's only a small portion. Every year we try and do a little sightseeing as well. So I'm not sure where this was. I wasn't there for this one because I was away with work. And Seahawker of the Year is now up for nomination. So check your inboxes if you have a nomination for anyone who has raised funds for charity, done something fantastic for Seahawks community. Make sure you email your chapter president. They'll collate all them. I think there might actually be a link in the email, and then your vote can be cast.
Who doesn't want to win that?
Exactly. And finally, Dom, you may not have seen this, but we have partnered with the Robbing Cancer Trust. Okay. So the RCT are a UK-based germ cell cancer charity, all about testicular ovarian cancer, raising awareness. This gentleman right here, pointing that way, wearing the giant ball bag, is Toby. Toby is the CEO of the RCT. He's running 500K. He started now dressed as a ball bag with one goal: to raise awareness and save lives. He wants to raise 240K to basically help fund life-saving treatments, awareness campaigns, whatever he can. And we are going to be bringing a load of RCT stash with us to Glasgow as well. They very kindly give us some T-shirts, stickers, cards, loads of stuff. If you see Toby on his travels, or you just want to follow him and see what he's doing, you can follow him at Toby Talks Bollocks. You can just search for the hashtag Talking Bollocks or hashtag Not Overreacting to keep up to date with the RCT. There we go. Sorry, we like to shout that out every single time.
It's a very worthy cause, and to watch somebody run around dressed as a ball bag is extra fun, isn't it?
I watched a video of Toby the other day, and he was being interviewed by BBC Essex, and they were asking him, they were like, how heavy is it? He was like, you know what? It's one of the lightest ball bags I've ever felt. And I was like, it's airy. Yeah, but yeah, it's fantastic cause. It's one of those where we had to support them. So shall we start talking about some Seahawks, Dom?
Please. That's all I want to do.
Lots of stuff's happened. Just to start with, give us a broad overview as to how you think this off-season's been.
So initially I was in crisis mode. I'm not going to lie. I really was shocked by what happened at the start of the season. Some people might say they saw it coming. I genuinely didn't. There was the trade rumors that came out about DK. I mean, they've been coming out for a long time, but I always sort of poo-pooed that stuff and was like, he's going nowhere. I think, why would you let a receiver of his caliber, of his age, of his physical dominance go? And you're wearing those rose-tinted glasses as a Seahawks fan, of course. DK's top 5 receivers if we had a good offensive line and all this kind of stuff. I've said it before, but I was gassing a few people up too. but I really didn't honestly think that we would have pulled the trigger to trade him. I really didn't think we would. I actually thought there was more chance of Gino going than DK. Weirdly, I just thought as soon as Pete Carroll came back into the league, I did have that sort of sniff that the Raiders might be after him. I thought that it wouldn't necessarily be the worst move for the Seahawks, but yeah. So losing Gino initially was losing DK initially was like, ouch. I've got a couple of DK jerseys, so fortunately Darnold's come in with number 14. I might actually just have to plaster his name on the back and still get some usage out of him.
I'm pretty sure you can just buy nameplates. You might have to import it from the US, but it's cheaper than buying a jersey.
Hey, sustainability.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I think for me it was the DK going to the Steelers, which I thought was a bad move. Ultimately, I didn't think it was a good spot for him. Obviously, we decided where to trade him, but I don't see the value for him as a player there. And then Gino going immediately after, like so quickly. I was grieving from Tyler Lockett, for heaven's sake. Like I was like, Lockett goes, he doesn't get his flowers because DK comes in, and that kind of summed everything up. It kind of summed DK up a little bit. Diva steals the spotlight, whether it's his fault or not, but Tyler deserved his day.
We addressed this, and I think the leak and everything came from more his agent than him directly.
I know it wouldn't have been him, but it's just the aura of DK.
Because we said this, and I said, how awful is that one of your best friends, your mentors in the league, has just been traded away, an absolute legend, and you go, oh yes, but look at this. Ignore your day in the sun where the Seahawks are putting all the social media posts out about how amazing they are and thank you, and then it's over DK news.
Yeah, and if any Seahawk deserved it, Tyler's one of them. Like he has been just a stand-up, amazing player, guy, cornerstone of the locker room for such a long time. Yeah, I was gutted about him leaving, and I I wanted him to leave, as harsh as that is, because his cap hit. It was just not something that you could justify. I wanted him to leave, even though I love him, but it was just abolished by DK and then Gino straight after as well. Like it was like a triple whammy, left, right, good night, we're done. And from then everything has got more positive in my eyes. Just saying, like it was a downer. I grieved for about 48 hours. I got back on the horse, and I feel good about it, to be honest. And I know that some people maybe do or don't. And there was those speculations about who do we pick up? Do we try and go cheap? Do we try to go Justin Fields? Do we just get somebody low level and really hit it with our first pick in the draft? But Darnold had a solid year last year, and he's been in bad situations or backup situations for a while, and there's no reason why he can't light it up. There was a reason why he was a first rounder back in the day. He will have only got better, and he has only got better. And that season with the Vikings last year was phenomenal. And I know he's got Justin Jefferson, and he's got Hawkinson and Addison and all the sons, but it's I'm optimistic about Darnold. I really am.
Yeah, I for some reason my mind got me onto the Justin Fields hype train, and I was firmly on the anyone but Aaron Rodgers train because I can't stand that man. I am on record on this podcast, in our Discord, on social media, just calling him a poison. Yeah. He's got to that point in his career where his self-importance is unmatched.
He lords it over everyone, doesn't he?
Massively. And it's still looking like he might be going to the Steelers.
Yeah, which whatever.
Do you know, and I can't remember who someone said this, where DK put it out there that he wanted to go somewhere with a stable QB scenario. So John Schneider went, just go the Steelers. They haven't got one. If you want to get out there, fine.
The last 7 or 8 years, yeah.
I think with the context of what happened almost immediately afterwards as well with Gino's situation, when DK said that about the QB situation, I think it almost certainly Gino had already said that he wouldn't be, the first offer wasn't anywhere close to what he wanted, or negotiations weren't going to proceed. So I think almost that DK comment was in relation to a situation with Gino that we didn't know at that point. If
Yeah,
you know what I
that's
mean,
fair.
because if you think about the duration of Gino's contract, even if he hadn't had an extension this year, he was still QB1, 2 years behind him, 3 years behind him. Either way, he was established as QB1 on the roster. That's not unstable. Other than his age, you couldn't
Yeah,
really look at
no,
that and say it's unstable. So I think that,
not unless you knew something else. Yeah,
yeah. So I think actually that part of the context rings true. The thing about the climate that he wanted to go to was kind of
I don't
everyone
believe
would
that.
prefer it, but I don't think it's your decision making thing. I do think he'd have preferred to go to a contender, a genuine contender, because I don't think the Steelers are there. They haven't got a QB, so
Mhm.
he didn't get that wish. He didn't get the climate wish, but his thing about the QB situation did ring true in the end, and I think he was clued up about that not happening.
Yeah,
So,
for sure. Yeah, I
yeah.
agree. And like you say, going to the Steelers, you know, it's not a contender. They're always relevant. They win games. Tomlin's a great coach, but they just, for me, you look at that roster and you got George Pickens and DK, who's like George Pickens is like a bootleg version of DK Metcalf essentially, and then you've got what else? Like they really don't have too much on the offense. They've lost. I mean, no running back to speak of. Their offensive lines okay, but I'm not impressed by it. Frymouth, average.
They've now just got, and I put this on our TikTok, the most volatile wide receiver room in the league.
Put them on.
Like,
There's gonna be some fisticuffs.
honestly, I can't get my head around it because I'm looking at it going, in what world, as a coach, do you go, do you know what would be really good? Having George Pickens, the man who became a meme on draft night for standing in front of his TV with the weirdest body posture I've ever seen, wearing
It's
a
a great meme.
balaclava,
Yeah.
who is now known for just, I don't like swearing on this pod, but housery.
Yeah.
I'll put it in our Discord enough. And then you've got DK, who is renowned for being a hothead, gives away penalties. You know, he's a big guy. He's not a threat. He's not afraid to like throw it down with people. And I'm just thinking, why do you think that's a recipe for success?
Mm.
I think if you look back as well at the players on the Seahawks roster that DK's been closest with, Tyler, Bobby, Russ, you know, you look at these characters that he's vibed with and got on with well in rosters. They're always the yin to his yang. They are calm, cool, collected, softly spoken. That is not Pickens. So I do think that's going to be a really interesting dynamic. Does that get the better out of him? Does that competitive thing, you know, fighting for wide receiver one with a similar hot-headed, warm-blooded sort of wide receiver, is that good for him? Does that get him to the level that we always felt like he had that he never really unlocked? Or does that just create this storm that he loses, or one of them loses face in, or, you know, that's going to be fascinating because he's not had that.
I wonder if there's a betting pool for the how quick the first fight between them is going to be in training camp.
Someone's throwing a punch, but
Oh,
my money's on DK. To be fair,
Yeah.
he's absolute animal. But
I don't know. I think Pickens has got crackhead energy. I think it's one of those who he'd take the punch and he'd come back up like the Undertaker.
Like the Undertaker,
yeah, and just be like, "And what, mate?"
Yeah.
But yeah, less about DK.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Good luck to him.
Good luck to him. Tyler Lockett, he was released, and as was just discussed in our comments, Tyler is still a free agent, so who knows? But
okay, can I ask that question?
Yeah,
Mitch or Josh? Do you say who knows? Do you see Tyler coming back? I don't. I'd like it on a reduced deal, obviously, but I just don't see it. I don't see it.
Vet minimum, providing he knew what his role was as sort of fourth, fifth choice wide receiver, if we didn't pick up anyone of note in the draft. And obviously this is something we'll discuss.
Yeah.
But apart from that, no, I've got to a point now where I don't foresee him joining up with Pete Carroll in the City of Sin.
Okay.
Purely because he's a devout Christian, and why would you want to go somewhere with that much temptation? Plus, Pete hasn't, in my opinion, done a lot with that franchise since joining it. The draft might be different, but
Tyler won't be
Okay.
back for me, and I'll tell you why I think that is. If you watch the pod with, I can't remember the name of the pod, it's eluding me, but with Marshawn and
Get
what's
got.
his name? Get got. Yeah, thank you.
Get
Yeah,
got.
if you watch that and the bits DK said about the plans up for game day and the plays that they wanted to run because of weaknesses they'd seen in the secondaries and stuff, they were providing that for the first 6 weeks of the season to Grubb, and they weren't getting called. They there was no point in them even providing that info or making those suggestions because it was falling on deaf ears, or he wanted to do his own stuff. But when they talked about it, I really got the opinion that both of them were just fed up of or didn't adjust to the new regime because it wasn't accepted. Not accepting is probably the wrong word, but it wasn't as it didn't allow them to have that benefit of being veterans and contributing, and they've suddenly felt like they're not listening to us anymore. And that the idea that the idea that DK put across was that Tyler basically just didn't throw in the towel, but he was just like kind of done with this version of the Seahawks. So I think the players that have come into it and are getting used to Mike Mack and the new coaching staff, I don't think that's going to be an ongoing problem. But I think for the people that were in the previous regime, certainly on offense, I think they will struggle to feel the same way in this system.
Yeah, I would say I agree. I think that if anything, like I say, if anything, Pete Carroll's a great coach, clearly has been. But I feel like if anything, Pete instills a particular mantra into players that they get on board with. It resonates with them. They have to like almost abide by. And that there's only very few players that were left under that regime of Pete. And I think that Tyler's one of those. And I think if you've got somebody who comes in like Mike Mack, who's got new ideas, obviously. A carousel potentially of offensive coordinators. Hopefully, Clint is gonna stop that. But I think that's a way in which you can kind of get past that. Like if as a vet player, you're going to be. I don't want to have to adjust my game to match this new way of thinking, this new way of building respect. They've earned that, and I think that maybe when you get to that. He's been a Seahawk for 10 plus years, 11 years. Like he probably didn't want to have to put that effort in, like not effort because he's a stand-up player, but
it's an adjustment.
Yeah, that adjustment. It's just like, let me do me. If you don't like what I bring to the table, then maybe it's time to part. And I think that ultimately, his role last year just showed that his production, his usage was just, not there. And yeah, I'd like to see Tyler back as a Seahawk, but equally, I don't think it would be the best thing for the team either. I really don't.
I don't
It's
think
one of
the
those.
role's there for him anymore.
Yeah, I think your heart tells you want Tyler back, but your head tells you if we're playing a majority 2 wide receiver sets, we're more likely to not carry anywhere. It's unlikely we'll carry anywhere near the amount of wide receivers on this roster this year as last year. There'll be more tight ends. We'll draft one. We'll run with 4 or 5, I think, on the roster. Certainly with a viable game day option in the practice squad and 4 on the roster. So wide receivers will be the one that drops out. And he's not the field stretcher he once was. He's not much of a yak threat because he gives himself
drops
up
the floor. Yeah,
but and I don't mind that either because he's a first
I
down.
do.
you like a dog in him.
Oh, I can't. Having played a contact sport all my life, I can't get on board with someone who, and I understand it's a business decision. He doesn't want to be, have multiple concussions or injuries. He wants to be able to play with his kids when they're born and, really be a dad. But if you're going to play a sport like football and contact is a huge part of it, then you have to be willing to take those lumps.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I played rugby for 12 years. It's not built. I think if you do that, it's not built into you to certainly not playing rugby to give yourself up. Mitch, I agree. I understand Tyler's decision to do that. And I guess when I watched it, I didn't mind it. But what that takes away from winning, I guess, ultimately, or giving yourself that extra chance to win is, what if you break that tackle? What if you bounce off, and you take it to the house? It's not even there, like it's just not an opportunity. So it's like that yak potential is just gone. And you see that happen a lot, you know, for not necessarily players his size, but you just don't know. If you give a shake and bake and get past somebody, then it's, you know, it's a touchdown. So yeah, I don't like that either. Like, essentially, I understand from Tyler's perspective, but I don't like it. It doesn't give you more chance to win. It gives you far less.
It lowers the ceiling each play, doesn't it? I mean,
Yeah.
that's the thing. And we used him to churn out first downs. He's got an incredible set of hands. His route running is as good as anyone in the league. Like, he'll get open, yeah, and body control, everything. He's got all of those things. But when he had all of those things, he was lightning quick. He was a yak threat. He was a deep threat. We were regularly hitting him with that. That was when he was worth the cap hit that we were staring down the barrel of paying this year. With those things removed, the ceiling's lower. It didn't make sense to keep him, and I think anyone looking at him in free agency will be very strongly considering the fact that that ceiling has dropped because of those factors. So I think that's probably why he's still on the market. The way he gets on a roster, I think, is when you get to camp and someone's wide receiver 2 gets injured. Who's available? Lockett's been super reliable for 9 years in the league. That's my guy. He gets himself 8-9 million. Job done. Yeah, that's how it happens for me.
So he's going to Kansas when Xavier Worthy gets injured or arrested again. Shall we talk about a new wide receiver? Someone that Mitch and I have had these conversations over our little WhatsApp group and on the Discord. Cooper Kupp. Now, I really like this signing, and I know there was all over toxic Seahawks Twitter. People were going, "Why have we signed him? We've already got JSN." And now I've got a thought as to how we're going to play. But Dom, I want to get your thoughts on this signing and how you think it's going to play out for the season.
I thought you were going to say, let's talk about Marquez Valdes-Scantling.
I'm joking about him as well.
I'm joking. Obviously, the sort of big sign for us was Cooper Kupp, and I love this personally, right? I love it because of what I believe Cooper Kupp can be, right? But I'm so totally, and this is like, I don't usually sit on a fence. I'm usually very opinionated, but I'm kind of sat on the fence with this Cooper Kupp signing just because I genuinely don't know what version we're going to get of him. If we get a Cooper Kupp that is akin to 2-3 years ago, he says he's healthy as he's been for a long time. You know, we all say that, don't we? But let's fingers crossed that he is.
I'm well past that.
I mean, I try to tell myself that I am, and I know I'm not. But that's the thing.
I hit 40 and just went, that's pointless saying that anymore.
You can trick yourself though, and maybe Cooper Kupp is trying to trick himself into thinking that he's as healthy as he's ever been. You know, his game has never been that top end speed. He is incredibly intellectual as a football player. As you know, as a wide receiver, he is a quarterback's best friend. Donald needs that. Like, that is something that Donald definitely needs. And I think with JSN, his season last year, I know it wasn't like absolutely lights out, but it did something to me. It made me go, thank goodness, you know, this pick was worth it. And I believe he will continue to grow. And I just think throwing him in with Cooper Kupp and them being able to bounce off each other, share knowledge, share how they get open. They're very similar types of players, and that's maybe the worry. But at the same time, in Clint's new offense, they're both going to complement each other. And JSN can play outside the numbers. Cooper Kupp can play outside the numbers. We've seen him go to the house in LA too many times for my liking over the last few years. But I think it's a good move, because ultimately, with the receivers that were out there and that were left on the board in free agency, I'd have taken him ahead of anybody else that was available at that time. I still would now, you know, and I think that we've gone out there and said, he's not our DK replacement, by the way. You know, there are people out there who are saying, oh, you've swapped DK for no, we haven't swapped DK for Cooper Kupp. He's our Tyler Lockett replacement ultimately. He's not DK's replacement. DK's replacement is going to have to come either this year in the draft, or we've got to do something slightly different, you know, and we will be in this Clint Kubiak offense. That's why I joked about Marquez Valdes-Scantling, is ultimately he brings the two-dimensional role that DK I'm not saying DK is two-dimensional, but that is ultimately what DK would have done in Clint Kubiak's offense. Would be he runs go routes on a play action when you're not expecting it. That can be done by somebody who's got some speed. I would like to see us actually go out, and we'll maybe talk about this. I'd like to see somebody go out and get somebody who's faster than Marquez Valdes-Scantling, because he's old now. I want top end speed, because we're going to need that ultimately with JSN and Cooper Kupp. But going back to Cooper Kupp, I like it. I think it will serve us good for. I think it's a one season thing, and unless he can hold on to some fountain of youth, but it will help us through next season, and we do need that for Sam Darnold.
Yeah. So I having sort of taken a step back on this and read a lot of the analysis on it and looked at sort of Kubiak's system, who we've got in the building at the moment, who we could draft. I genuinely see the thought process of building this new team with Kubiak as being a run heavy, short distance possession offense where we keep hold of the ball for as long as physically possible, and having a defense that is just going to strangle and suffocate the opposition.
Agreed.
So it'll be, we may not score many points, but you're going to score less. And when you look at time and possession, we're going to be 65%, if not more. I think that's where they're looking at. When you have two, in inverted commas, slot receivers, short and intermediate routes, not going to be taking the top off anyone. But then when defenses do start coming in, you get your MVS, or if we do draft someone that can take the top off as well, I think that's what it's going to be. You're going to see heavy usage from K9, from Charbonnet, hopefully Kenny McIntosh. If we drafted another running back, who knows? And then this defense is just going to keep building from last year. And I think that's the game plan. That's where I think Mike McDonald's calculated team building ethos is going to start coming in and going, this is the blueprint of what I want my team to be. I want it to be incredibly difficult to play. I want us to frustrate defenses by just having possession over and over again. 4-yard gains are fine by me.
Yeah, for sure.
You know?
And I mean, I agree entirely. That's the kind of football that, obviously I got into the Seahawks in like 2011, just before Legion of Boom started to develop, and essentially just before we got good. Glory supporter, somebody could call me, but equally that's why I got into it. I just love the defensive side of the ball. Obviously I love offense too, but if I played American football, I'd love to be a linebacker or a safety. That's where I'd want to be. And I think that style for me is, yeah, fine. Complimentary offensive football, when you're dropping 60-yard bombs, is great fun. But watching a defense really shut people down, hit hard, that's what I want to see. And Mike McDonald has got that skill set to bring to the table to just make our defense be suffocating, like you say, strangling. And also for me, going back to like the off-season talk, if you look at the players that we lost this year, I am not bothered about a single one that we lost. Stone Forsyth, Trey Brown, Pharaoh Brown, Laken Tomlinson, Artie Burns, like none of those to me are like, oh no, we're in trouble. Let them go, bring in some new help that's going to increase our chance of like essentially having a better defense. I'm so glad that we kept Ernest Jones. I think he is a phenomenal player, but I think that we need like a enforcer on the defense. We need somebody who's really going to like set a tone. We missed that. We've got a bunch of players that can play like smart, technical, and they need to in Mike McDonald's defense. But I need a bully in there, and I don't feel like we've got one aside from maybe in the trenches. Leonard Williams, obviously an animal, but we need somebody who's going to fly
Lawrence
around
now as well.
Oh yeah, and him. Very happy about that signing, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I think we paid him a bit too much money, if I'm honest, but at the same time, happy. I'm happy about it. Like his contract was big for somebody who's 32, 33. Yeah. But I think if you take away the injury from last year before that, and the year before that, he's a top 10. If you go PFF, top 5 pass rusher. So yeah, I think I'm super happy about DeMarcus. That's the thing. I think Mike McDonald has gone, I'll trade some stuff off offense, build it into the defense, get some vets in that know what they're doing. Lawrence isn't going to be in there every snap. He's just going to be feasting on quarterbacks when we want him to. and we're just going to be a pain for teams.
My feeling about our defense last year is that once we got rid of Baker and Dodson, we essentially had we assembled the engine, right? It works. It doesn't necessarily purr, but it's put together, it's fit for purpose, it's efficient, it works. We need to use this off season to strap a turbo on it. It's missing that little ingredient just to really make it sing. And you're going to get that with an X Factor player. DeMarcus Lawrence could be that, but I still think we'll see a marquee pickup in the draft that he thinks is going to be that mobile chess piece or that X Factor player. Whether that's an edge rusher, whether it's a linebacker that you can move around and disguise, whether it's a certain safety that I know you want to talk about.
We're on the same page here, Mitch. Yeah,
I know. I just think that little bit to just put the spark into it is going to really turn something that is efficient into something that can be devastating and game changing. So that's how I feel about the defense. Going quickly back to Cooper Kupp, I wasn't pleased at first because I felt like JSN had broken out, and that was his position by right. I know that the second wide receiver in those two wide receiver sets needs to stretch the defense, because if you're operating underneath with screens and checkdowns to running backs and tight ends and working out of the slot, you can't have safeties being able to just sit there in the box. So you have to stretch the field. So there's going to be go routes consistently, whether they're targeted or not. You can't ignore Valdez Scantling if he's constantly a threat, deep. So they have to factor that in, and if they do factor that in and cover it, you're going to get more success underneath. If your slot receiver, touch wood, doesn't happen, but JSN gets injured, who then plays the slot, and how many of our teeth fall out of that offense if that happens? Well, now we've got Cooper Kupp. And also, if you're running those screens and you're playing underneath, you're also going to need wide receivers and tight ends to seal people off and block up the field. Well, Cooper Kupp's amazing at that. So it's a very high standard backup for JSN. It means you can share the snaps and keep them fresh. Gives you a better chance if you get to the off season. One of them's going to be fit. Again, touch wood. But
he's just giving the kiss of death all throughout this little monologue now, Mitch.
I'm listening to myself thinking, God, if both get injured now, people are going to clip this pod up, and I'm going to be at fault. But that's the factor that makes me feel better. Yeah, don't you dare. But that's what's made me feel better about the Kupp thing. I think it gives us extreme quality depth in that position, and I think it's integral to the scheme. So I get that. One final thing, because I'm going on. Marquez Valdez Scantling is not necessarily the best fit on our roster to stretch the field. The lesser spotted Derek Young could be the boy in this system.
Oh, DK Metcalf 2.0.
He's got some toe. He's a quick boy.
The Wish version of DK.
Yeah, he's big. He's big and he's quick. And if you're just expecting someone to keep hitting the go route, you can rotate the two, keep them fresh, and they don't have to be targeted every time. They just need to be a threat. So I think Derek Young could do that. And if he does a good job with the chance he gets, Valdez out, extend Derek on like a vet minimum, and anyone we pick up in the draft. So I think we are fit for purpose with those weapons. I think we need a tight end, a proper receiving tight end to get the best out of Barner as well. But I'm quite comfortable with the D and the offense with the toolbox we've built, to be honest.
Yeah, I am too. Do
you know what else we could do? We could pick someone up in the draft, which makes that a perfect segue to start talking about Dom's draft crushes, because we've spent nearly 40 minutes talking about the state of the Seahawks, and I you know what, I'm pleased because I could see Dom's been itching listening to like In The Endzone pod. Every time he gets to Seahawks, having seen all of Dom's pictures on socials, he's always got a Seahawks jersey on, and every time you listen to it, he talks Seahawks, and it is like the smallest snippet. And I know in the background, it's like, I've got so much more to say. You're welcome on to talk Seahawks with us anytime. But
thank you.
Let's talk about your draft crushes. This is where I sort of sit back and let you talk the majority to our draft guru, Mitch. But you can start with whoever you like. You've sent us the list already. But for anyone watching and anyone listening, just kick it off, mate. Who have you got? Who are your draft crushes? And by all means, you can put some context around these.
I will. And Mitch, I want you to keep me honest here, because I know you are the man. The podcast that I've listened to, you're just dropping knowledge bombs left, right, and center about prospects. I don't know how you've got time. Like, the NFL keeps me so busy that I switch. Just as an FYI, I'm NFL. As soon as the season's over, I then switch and I try to binge tape from college. I go back and watch games and national championships, and I'm like, show me these good players, because I want to get hyped for the draft. And so that's ultimately what I've done. I'm by no means, or do have, nowhere near the knowledge that you guys do in relation to those players, but I'm gonna hit you with my first player, and this is a player that I've done a couple of mock drafts. I've not posted any to socials yet. I'm just warming up. But this is a player that if he falls to the Seahawks, I want us to pick him up, and it will be a round 1 pick, in my opinion, for this guy. And this is James Pierce Jr., edge rusher from Tennessee. Now, Mitch, you were just saying DeMarcus Lawrence could be that X factor, could be that animal on the edge. Now, he's 33 years old. We're 32, 33. We're going to get a year, maybe 2 of good quality football out of him. This guy, James Pierce Jr., is phenomenal. You watch him, he is electric. I mean, I can't think of a time in recent history that the Seahawks have had this kind of player coming off the edge. I think that if you look at his tape from last year, he is a top tier prospect. He's first team All SEC. I think in the last 2 years, he's had 17.5 sacks between 2 seasons. I think him, with Mike McDonald scheming him into our defense, somebody's going to get free. You're going to have to double Leonard Williams. You're going to have to double Byron Murphy. You're going to have to double him. You've got Lawrence. If we pick him in the draft this year, you've got so much to worry about. And then, the second sort of tier boy, MFA, there's so much to play with. For me, it's like you take a leaf out of the teams that do it really well. You take a leaf out of the Eagles book, that they can rotate in these pass rushers that can come in and do a job in a particular moment, and they get there. And he gets there. His motor is unreal. I went to Knoxville, Neyland Stadium in October, just gone. Absolutely rocking. 100,000 plus people there. It was phenomenal. And I've never been to a college game. That was my first college game. It was amazing. And he was playing and he lit up the quarterback. And I was like, this guy is something else. So for me, if he was there, I know it's not our biggest need. And people will be screaming at me, I'm sure, comments, socials, we need a guard. Yes, we do. We need offensive line. Yes, we do. But also, we need a difference maker. We need somebody who is going to have that X factor on defense or offense, but make Sam Darnold not have to do too much, And this guy's only 21 as well. James Pierce Jr. is only 21. So he's going to stop growing up and grow out. So he's going to fill out. Did you guys watch his combine?
Yeah, I watched all of the.
It was unbelievable.
Yeah, it was a clinic. It was a clinic. We've had a Tennessee edge rusher before, Darrell Taylor, right? And when Darrell Taylor, and I don't want to. You're so passionate about this one. I'm hesitant to say anything negative, but I'm going to say a
please.
couple bit.
Isn't this the guy who had the character concerns?
Shut me down, please, because I need to be reined in a little bit.
Yeah, so there's a few things to be aware of. One of them you've touched on. He lacks a bit of play strength. When he's up against bigger, more physical, more polished guards, they tend to nullify him slightly. But the age, as you say, and getting in an NFL program, you'd expect that to be added to. The reason I draw the Darrell Taylor comparison is Darrell Taylor was electric, athletically unbelievable, crazy bend around the edge, closing speed, all of that stuff. You watch it on tape and you think that is a phenomenal talent. The problem was he never really added much to his game in terms of pass rush moves. He didn't find another way to win at this level. He lost contain a lot while being blinkered and charging at quarterbacks. The losing contain when chasing a quarterback is a concern for him. And if you looked back to projections going into this season, he was a top 5. He was recognised as a top 5 prospect in this draft.
Mm.
And I think some of the character concerns, some of the discipline and over aggression at times and being a little blinkered, that's the only thing that's dropped him from a top 5 prospect or a top 10 prospect to 20 to 32. I don't think he'll go anywhere near 32. He's got too high a ceiling to be taken that late in the first round.
Agreed.
But that's the only thing against him. I mean, my profile on him is really quite positive. I love his football IQ as well. He's super switched on. He diagnoses plays really quickly, and his closing speed and his athleticism are unreal. So if he can work on keeping contain, which we've got with Nwosu, we've got with Hall, we've got with Maffei as well, those guys all do it really well. There were times when we had edge rushers where we thought, if this is a run, it's going for 15 yards because it's Darryl Taylor on the left. So that I don't want to go back to, because I feel like that's improved massively with the personnel we've got on the edge. That's the only thing I can say. But you're absolutely right. He's electric. And if he reaches his potential, he's exactly what we talked about prior. So I take your point.
Yeah. Great.
Here's your next one.
There you go. Dom's not going to want to come back on now. Just paid in his Mr. Chips straight away.
No, I like it, but he's
like,
really lyrical with a positive. Yeah, I had to just caveat that with a little
just
bit.
Mitch, the great leveler.
Hey, look, if you've listened to In The Endzone UK, you know I'm used to getting shot down by Big Dave and Lil Camo most weeks. So it's all good. And like, I like to see both sides of the coin. You know, I follow Tennessee more than most because I've been to Tennessee a few times. And I love it there. But I think, yeah, if he's there at 18, for me, I'd be looking at him going,
that's a lot of player. That's a lot of player.
That's a lot of player.
It is.
For sure. Speaking of a lot of player, this guy, again, I'm going defense. Nick Amanwari, safety, South Carolina.
It's a pod favorite.
Yeah, I know. And I was hesitant to do that because he's a pod favorite, but I just want to say he lights people up. His tape is great fun to watch. Everything that you want to sort of strike fear into an offense. Running backs won't want to run at him. Tight ends won't want to get clattered by him. He's so fast. He's ready to drop the hammer. I'm going to say it, and I don't know, forgive me if you guys are, but I'm not hugely high on Kobe Bryant. Do we have major fans in the room?
Me and you, my friend. Yes, I wasn't high on him as a cornerback because he lacks the elite athleticism to be a cornerback and to catch up with those wide receivers that will just blow past him. As a safety, I think he's better suited because he's very cerebral, but I think he's physically limited in what he can do.
Good, because I've got nothing against Kobe. I'm just saying he's just good. And he's like on that edge of just good. He's good, but he's just good. And I don't think there's room for a player in our team, certainly on our defense, that is just good. And it doesn't mean that we have to get rid of him. You know, Mike Mack loves to play 3 safeties at times. Not saying he has to go anywhere. I'm just saying, why not go get a special player to make more of an impact? He can also give linebackers some help because at the moment, Ernest Jones, he's a slimmer linebacker. You know, he's probably going to struggle to really drop the boom, which is what we need. And also, this guy knows where the ball is. Like, he's had picks, a couple of pick sixes. If that ball lands in his hands, Lord help you trying to tackle it off him. He runs a 430. What was it? 438? 40?
Yeah, it was
100 kilograms.
It was crazy. Here's where I am. I agree with your point about Kobe.
100 kilograms, 438 though. I'm 100 kilograms and I can run a 438, but that's 4 minutes. 38 seconds.
That's a wobble. That's not a run.
Here's my take. I think there's a lot of room for someone like Kobe Bryant on a roster. I don't think you want to be looking at Kobe as a starting caliber. Well, starting caliber, I think, is where he is. I don't think he is your X factor player. And if you're trying to insert a player to be that spark, I don't necessarily want it to be at the cost of snaps for a Maffei or a Hall or a Leonard Williams or Devon Witherspoon or someone like that. There are players where we are better than average. if you can put a player in there to be the X factor, that is a dramatic upgrade. And you've used that space on the field to create that spark. And I think that gives you, rather than like an X factor player over a very good player, that is the spot I would choose to improve. And Emanori is a hammer, and he's also a no-fly zone. Is it seven? I think it was seven interceptions. It was a lot.
Six last season.
Yeah, so that's another thing in a defense where you're trying to disguise things, drop people into coverage, bring them up to the box, sew them into a blitz. Like, he'll do all of those things, so he enables the scheme, and we're going to see more of that defensive playbook this year. That excites me more than anything. We're going to get to page 2 of that defense, which is going to have more of the trickery.
Yes,
well, that's a guy who enables a lot of that playbook.
Yes, for sure, and that's sort of like, that brings me on to my sort of second part. I'm not going to go too heavy into this, but I understand that we've got some needs, and Amanwari is an amazing prospect. And if we don't go there, I still think Malachi Starks, I need to give like an honourable mention, because when you just say that we're going to open that playbook, we're going to get into some schemes on defense that require players that can do a little bit of everything. This Malachi Starks out of Georgia, he's probably going to be, fall a little bit lower than Emanwari. If he's anywhere near where we can maybe try and trade up into the top of the second to get him, if we don't take Emanwari, that is somebody who I'm also high on. I think I'm not adding this to my 5, but I'm just saying as a bonus round, he could be the versatile DB that we know Mike Mack likes, and I actually love him as well after watching his tape. He's not quite Emanwari, he's not going to set that tone, but he's damn good. So if we don't go there, maybe Malachi Starks might be available for us a little bit further down.
Regular viewer and Discord member Gary agrees. Just before you mentioned Starks, he thinks Starks may be a better safety, to be honest.
Cheers, Gary.
Yeah. So Gary's always in the comments, and if anyone else wants to comment on any of these, by all means do. I'll try and throw them up. You don't need to put a super chat. We don't have that facility yet, and even if we did, we'd still put your comments up anyway. But yeah, go on, Dom. Oh, yeah. I'm not sure who had something to say then.
I was just going to add caveat and just say, where do you see Starks going in this draft? Because again, at the beginning of the season, he was very much seen as safety 1 in this draft, and was a nailed on first rounder. And for me, he's still got huge potential and starting quality already, but I don't think he's going in first round. He might. Well, you tell me. Question over to you.
Yeah, exactly, Mitch. And so I've sort of based this like prediction on him not necessarily going in the first. I would struggle to take Malachi Starks in the first round. If Emanwari went at like 10, for example, and then it was Starks at 18, I wouldn't take him. As the Seahawks, it wouldn't cross my mind. There'll be better prospects available. If we love trading down, I don't like to see it, but if we sort of traded down to like 25, something like that, and he was there, maybe. But where I see him going, I don't think he'll get past the 42nd pick, but I think
he's
it'll
top
be
50.
around that.
I think he's top 50 for me.
Yeah, for sure. And that's what I'm saying, is that if we go somewhere else, screaming needs for offensive linemen, maybe, not necessarily a need for an edge rush, but if there's somebody there that you think can't pass that guy up, if we can trade up, from like the lower end of the second round into sort of like the 45 mark, and he's still there, take him, because he's a huge upgrade again on Kobe, unfortunately.
Fair enough. Who's your next one?
Next one for me is, I feel like if you take the last 2 players that I spoke about and merge them together, he's like a hybrid of the 2. He's like a love child between James Pierce and Emanwari, and it's Jihad Campbell, linebacker from Alabama.
Yeah, this is interesting.
Yeah, so there's some reasons behind it, Mitch, and please let me know if you don't agree. But when I look at this guy, I feel exactly like that. He's a specimen. He's got great athleticism. When I watch his tape, he gives me Micah Parsons vibes, and I'm not saying that he won't be, that he will be Micah Parsons, but who wouldn't take a 75% Micah Parsons? I think he just looks like a solid player that could take the biggest leap out of probably the 5 players that I'm talking about now. I think his ceiling could be the highest once he's in the league, because if he can mix up lining up as a linebacker and rush the passer, or line up as a pass rush and drop into coverage, both of which he can do to a pretty high standard, he could be like the ultimate chess piece for Mike Macdonald, especially in our defense that likes to, be complex, mix things up. To have somebody who can do both of that, I think Mike Macdonald relish. I think Mike Macdonald's mouth is watering at the sight of Jihad Campbell, and I think that if he was there, which he very well might be at 18, it'd be hard for Mike Macdonald to not pick him. Whether I would pick him at 18, I don't know. I just like the look of him. I think he's a good prospect. I mean, 117 tackles last year, 5 sacks. I think he had around 12 tackles for loss, a couple of forced fumbles, a couple of interceptions. Like, the guy can do everything. So to have that kind of a player, I would love to watch somebody like that. I'd love if I'd buy his jersey if he came to Seahawks.
Interesting. I really like the player. I think the biggest knock on Jihad Campbell is that Jalen Walker exists, and I think if Jalen, like, I prefer, as a prospect, I prefer Jalen Walker, but I would not be disappointed in any way if we picked up Jihad Campbell. And the ceiling's crazy. He's one of the clutchiest players you'll ever watch. When your team needs something, he just seems to be the guy. It's like clutch situation, 3rd and 5. Oh, there's a sack. Third and 1. Oh, interception. Whatever it is you need, he just seems to do it.
And I've not seen a man bat balls down as much as he does as well. If you watch his tape, he's in the face. He's up here.
Hands.
Yeah, and the ball's just hitting like that. That in itself, if it might not be a sack, it might not be an interception, but that means a lot, especially in this league.
He affects the game consistently in the big moments. That's the biggest thing for Jihad Campbell that I really like, and that's not. It's like an intangible thing. It's not going to show up in the combine. It's not going to, it'll show up on the tape because a highlight reel will just be like, it'll blow you away. But really clutchy. His timing on blitzes is really good as well. Like, you see sometimes someone gets sent on a blitz that, they're not an edge rusher, they're not a tackle, but they just seem to just get it done and not be overly aggressive and just execute. He does that as well. So there's an IQ and an instinct edge to Jihad Campbell that I think is really key to why he's climbed the board so much.
Yeah. He excites me. And Mitch, to your point, the reason why I've gone with Jihad over Jalen Walker is because I don't believe he'll be available to us ultimately. Yeah. So that's why I've gone with that. I don't think he'll fall to 18. If he does, I've got the same kind of excitement. I would put them very close together personally. Some people have got Jalen way ahead of Jihad, but I don't think they are. I actually think that they're very similar.
Yeah. I like the chances of one of them being available to us at 18. I don't think both are off the board at 18. So if you're right that Mike Mack is salivating at the thought of having a player like that, if he really wants it, I think he'll get it. So I think there's a really high chance that one of those guys is available.
Cool. I hope so. Next is again in the same vein as my conversation about Jihad, in that I've tried to be a bit more realistic with our picks and what we might be doing early on. So I'm going with Donovan Jackson, offensive lineman from Ohio State. And I know this isn't an exciting pick, and offensive lineman picks are very rarely exciting to most people, but for me in the trenches is just like, we've got to get better. We have to. I'm so surprised that we've not done more in free agency, and I was gonna mention that in our free agency talk, Josh, just to say I am shocked.
Let's go.
That,
go for it.
I'm just shocked that we've not done anything, and I know that we tried, and I know that we offered big money to some players. They decided to go elsewhere. Cough cough Vikings, but ultimately, the Seahawks, we have not done enough to address some glaring needs, and I think that there was opportunity, and there still is. There's still some players out there that would be an upgrade on our offensive line, and I think we're naive, and I think John is naive to think that we can just resolve everything with coaching. I think absolutely we could make strides, but also you need to just make that competition deeper. Bring people in who may be veterans and maybe not the most spring chickens, but bring them in. If nothing else, get them in the team so that they can impart some knowledge. His name's escaped me, but Brandon Sharif, he's still out there, right? Yeah. And he's old. He's not the player he once was, but why is he still out there? Like
I'd snap him up as a vet lineman.
Yeah, we've got money. Don't wait till after the draft, because you don't know how the chips are going to fall. Go out there, sign him, give him I don't know how much he wants, but give him close to what he wants, and don't worry about it. Sign him on a 2-year deal where you can void it after the first year, and just that'd be that, and still draft your lineman. So back on track to Donovan Jackson. I don't want us, controversially, to take a lineman with our first round pick. Unless there is an absolute sweet gem of a man that falls to us by chance. I don't want us to do that. And obviously we've got the Ratledgers, the Zabels, the Bookers out there, but I'm going with Donovan Jackson, because if we need to climb into the top end of round 2 to get him, similar vein to Malachi Starks, then maybe we can do that. And for him specifically in our offense, new offense, Clint Kubiak's offense, he is a zone animal. Like he's a zone blocker, outside zone blocker. He knows how to really get dirty in the trenches, and we need that. And for me also, the main thing that I think is huge is I'm a massive believer in winners. Right? You take winners breed winners.
Winning culture.
That's, if you've played sports yourself, if you win, you believe that you win. And I know it's a team sport, and it's, there's many dependencies, but he's from Ohio State. They have won the national championship. Go and take winners. He's a 320-pound monster. I've got not much more to say about it than that. Is he can do what our scheme is going to want him to do. He's a winner. He's a massive human, and I like him. That's it, Mitch.
Yeah, no, I like the player a lot, and there's things there that you've said that I completely agree with. When you look at the age of our offensive line, you have to assume they're going to get 20, 30, 40% better, because in this league, you don't have offensive lines that are full of 22, 23, 24-year-old players. No one does it, and
True.
We do it, and guess what? It's bad. So experiment over. How do you beat that? Do you keep trotting them out and hope that them getting bullied every game is going to make them better? I don't think so. Get the right coaching staff in. Okay, that's a good step. Start bringing in players that have the components that the line is missing: the nastiness, the tone setting. Get someone in there who's extremely strong, because we've got a bunch of linemen that are decent movers, and they're intellectual, and they're like good students of the game, and they know what's going on. They diagnose the plays brilliantly. Great. They're not strong enough to carve a hole for Ken Walker. So nastiness, strength, grit, get those guys in, whether that's a free agent that just, again, that was a good addition to a young offensive line in itself. But Donovan Jackson is elite power. Like, he's elite power. He's nasty. He finishes the plays. He puts people in the turf. Like, I love that. And the best thing about Donovan Jackson, often when you evaluate offensive linemen that aren't going to go in the first round, you'll say, oh, they've got a good anchor. They've got, they're really well built bottom half. They're hard to move. That's a tick. But they tend to, they're then caveated with, they're not great with like the leverage, or they're undersized, or there's a reason why they're not there. Well, Donovan Jackson has the anchor, and he's brilliant with his leverage. He's got the power, and he's a winner, and he's nasty. There's a lot of boxes getting ticked there. The problem with Donovan Jackson is he's a stiff mover. He's got exactly the opposite skill set to what we've got in that line. We can afford that if we've got so I think he's such a good fit for what we made.
Yeah. What we have, we could do with some of the opposite, clearly.
Yeah.
It's not working.
As a rugby coach, I'm going to speak from a coaching point of view here. So you can have the best coaches in the world come in and train anyone, but elite talent or any type of talent only gets you to a certain ceiling. If you've got people whose ceiling is here and you have the best coaches in the world, they're only going to reach here. If you bring in people whose floor is here, so if anyone listening, sorry, I'm doing some hand gestures here. So let's say middle of the road is your ceiling, but then you bring someone in whose floor is just below middle of the road, but their ceiling is top tier. That's what you're looking for. That's what we want to bring in. And that's where you bring these coaches in to really bring them up. And I think what we're missing at the moment is that elite ceiling in the O-line. I like Charles Cross. I don't think he is elite at left tackle.
Mm-hmm.
He's serviceable. He's done all right. He had a much better season last season. Abe Lucas, I don't think he is. He's
injury prone.
He's good, but injuries. The best ability is availability, and he hasn't got that at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
So we're looking at drafting people. I don't think we spend pick 18 on an O-lineman. I think we look in the second and third for these really high ceiling players. But I agree with you. I think we just do need to start getting better. We need to bring in winners, people from a winning culture, winning colleges, and then we can start growing more of a winning culture on that O-line rather than a culture. Let's just try and stop them desperately. People in there that are going to be like, I know I can stop them. I'm going to plant my face in the dirt. Yeah, you're an edge rusher. Oh, you're going to try bull rush me? Not a chance, mate. You got a cheeky spin move and a bit of speed. No,
go on. Exactly. Yeah, he can play tackle because he moved across and played tackle after some injuries, and I think he played tackle in the championship game.
He didn't allow a sack. He didn't allow a sack at tackle, and he was moved there to cover and played there in the hardest games of their season in the postseason. Didn't allow a sack, so there's versatility.
And that's what I love.
For anyone listening to the pod rather than watching, when Josh was talking there, just imagine an episode of The Sopranos, and you basically you'll know about all the hands.
There was so much of this.
Hey,
and now you might as well be watching
Tommy DeVito in there.
That's it.
That's it. Okay, cool. Last player, is it? I think it's my last one. Fifth.
You've got a running back, but I think
I do have a running back. And so speaking of, I'm not saying that we take this guy. I don't think we will. And as you can see, I'm wearing K9. We call him Big Kenny on the In The Endzone UK podcast. I'm wearing a Kenneth Walker jersey, but I'm a huge fan of Kenneth Walker. But I'm just not a huge fan of him and his aversion to playing a full season. So I think that we do need to take a running back in this draft. I think that we do need to take one that's not too far down so that you end up missing on all of the hugely talented players that are in this draft. Like this running back draft class is phenomenal. So why not just take one? You don't have to take one the first pick. You don't have to take one the second or even third or maybe fourth, but take one somewhere around there and go and get somebody who can complement us. I'm a huge Charbonnet fan, just FYI, but I don't think he fits our new scheme as much. So I don't know how that looks for us, but I am a huge K9 fan. And I do think that he will have his best season that he's had for us this year, as long as he stays healthy. But that is a huge caveat. So my fifth is Omarion Hampton from North Carolina. I mean, he is a beast. This is just pure name dropping, but like when Derrick Henry was coming out of college, I was screaming at people as to like, I wanted the Seahawks to take him. I was telling my friends, oh, have you seen this guy? And they're like, no. And I'm like, this guy will wreck people for the next 5 to 10 years. Maybe not 10 because he's running back, but I had faith that this guy would run people over for a very long time. Omarion Hampton feels very similar. His size, speed, strength, quickness, he runs aggressively. He's a tone setter on offense. I just think that that's something that we now lack on offense. If I look at our offense now, it's very nicey. Sam Darnold's not going to give you any shit. JSN's not going to give you any shit. Cooper Kupp's just going to do his job. We need somebody who's going to hit you in the face on the way to the end zone and smile at you whilst doing it. And I think that Omarion Hampton is that guy. Now, I don't, Mitch, I don't think that we should use the draft capital that it would take to obtain him, but I just want to throw those flowers out and just say watching him is phenomenal, and I would be so happy if he was in our team. Again, I don't know if he's a particular scheme fit, but I just think 30 touchdowns in the last 2 years, he finds the end zone. I love him, and I love him because I think he will be an amazing running back in this league. I think he will just dominate.
I'm going to, before Mitch comes in with his analysis, Mitch mentioned this man on a much earlier pod, so he is a fan as a change of pace back to K9. I see Charbonnet being the change of pace, the downhill, hit the A-gap runner, but that's not what the scheme's going to be. I think Kenny McIntosh is a better scheme fit for this. I'm a massive Kenny McIntosh fan. I can't.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, but Mitch is also an Amorian Hampton fan. So, Mitch, take it away.
Yeah, like you, Dom, I like the player. I don't think we're investing in the kind of capital that you're going to need to invest to get him where you need, where he's going to go. So I don't see this is certainly not a prediction for me either. But as a prospect, I admire what he does. He's a punishing back with elite burst speed, but not great top end speed. And he suits a gap power scheme. So there is some compatibility with us. But he'll be a force in this league. He'll make it as wide receiver, running back one on a roster within the next 2 to 3 years. And you're right. I just love the grit. He's always falling forward. He's always landing one on someone. And it's just great to watch a punishing running back, especially when you get to the fourth quarter. And if you're trying to hold on to the ball, that is a nightmare for anyone in quarter four, chasing the game, and he's just churning out 4-yard runs through your face every time. And I love watching that. So
yeah, same.
Really good. The only thing I will say, one of my comps for him is Zach Charbonnet, in the respect that he seeks the contact. He's got great contact balance, above average receiver that runs serviceable routes, is good getting up and being involved blocking in screenplay and things like that.
His blocking is phenomenal. His blocking is phenomenal. He pancakes people. Like,
I know,
it's absolute
it's
body
fun to
bag
watch
when you go anywhere near him.
Yeah, it's really fun to watch. And I think the thing that I really like about it is, technically, he's not a good blocker, but the energy and enthusiasm and aggression that he puts into it is formidable, and I love that. So I think there's room for that to be polished up, and be really good at it, because if he gets the technique added to that, he's a factor even when he's not got the ball in his hands. So I love the prospect. I just don't see it happening for us, because I don't think we've said, we're not going to take a running back in the second round, and then did it 2 years in a row. So what do we really know here?
Hey, look, if we could get him in the second round, I would certainly not be averse to it. But again,
we're picking twice.
Yeah, we'd have to move up though. I can't see. I'm going to be watching the draft, and when he goes off the board, whoever he goes to, I'm going to be like, damn, like that's just not because we didn't get him. It'll just be like, damn, like he's going to be a force for you, whoever you are, whoever's lucky enough to land him. Because I heard, I can't remember what podcast it was, but it might have been Daniel Jeremiah, but somebody said that he's worth taking just for his pass blocking. Like, if you forget his running back ability, he's worth taking because he gives you that extra like protection. And from a Seahawks perspective, we've just spoke about the O-line. Like, for me, even if somebody leaks through, at least you got him absolutely flat packing you. Like, it's a
good safety net.
Yeah. So I like it. Amorian Hampton, and then as a poor man's version, I've gone Cam Scatterbo. I like him. He's not the same.
I love his highlights.
Yeah, he's not the same back, but he breaks tackles, and if we just can't get the run game going, he's too similar to Charbonnet though. Like, I feel like if we've got Charbonnet, Scatterbo's not really a huge upgrade. So I just thought he's worth mentioning because I quite like the look of him.
Do you just before we move on, because I know we've got a mock to squeeze in, and this is a great pod already. I've loved what we've done in this pod already. It's so good. But do you see some element of Amarian Hampton being kind of a hybrid between what we've got in Charbonnet and Ken because of the elite burst, hitting gaps. I know he's not going to be your home run hitter necessarily, but I do see parts of Amarian Hampton that I wish Zach Charbonnet had, and I see parts of Ken that I think I wish he had a bit of Zach with the decisiveness, because Zach he's not going to run away from you, but he's far more decisive at picking his spot and just and I think Amarian Hampton for me kind of does a bit of both there.
Totally. Like you hit the nail on the head there for me with Kenneth Walker, is that I wish he was decisive, because if he hit gaps like Charbonnet hits gaps, he's gone. He just doesn't. And unfortunately, when those gaps close, he bounces off people. And obviously, to his credit, he bounces off people and goes round and runs circles and then eventually finds 10, 12 yards. Good on him. But generally he bounces off and goes backwards and falls on the floor. And you think he's just not carrying that stature, Canine's not, to allow him to make mistakes. He's got to hit a fluid open gap, and he doesn't really look for them. He likes to bounce outside too often. That's why I love him when he does it and he makes something out of nothing. But Amarian Hampton, he's just Charbonnet's not enough of what I want from a power back, unfortunately. Like, he's just not. I like him, and he's got that, he's proven that he can go the distance, but I want a battering ram. I want somebody that when we are on the 1 yard line, there's no question. There's no question. You just run through folk, and we haven't got that. And so many times we've been stopped on the one, and then you have to throw it, and Gino throws a pick six, and it's like, come on.
Because if the Seahawks had a high profile situation where they only needed 1 yard and they had a running back that always runs it into the end zone, you wouldn't think of throwing it, would you? Not a chance.
Of course not. As if that would ever happen.
I can feel the PTSD coming on.
Please stop. My heart.
I was going to say, I can't take any more of that. Right, before we move on, because we are a community podcast, we're by 12s, for 12s, with 12s. I'm going to get through to some comments before we whiz on to our mock draft. But beforehand, for anyone tuning in, thank you so much. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, share us. That really helps the channel grow. If you can share us with your mum, your nan, your dad, your cousin, your friends. There you go. Gary said, don't forget to hit that like button, guys. There you go. You can tell he's been a guest host, can't you? He's all over this.
Yeah. Good
but
Gary.
We really enjoyed speaking to all of you live as well. And any of you who want to join the Discord as well, you can. Mitch has just popped the link in there. Don't worry, we'll get Dom in there as well for a bit of a In The Endzone UK representation. We don't need the other guys. They're not Seahawks fans.
No, they're not. No, just me, guys. Please, I'm happy to come back and talk Seahawks for as long as possible. This has been great.
Right, at any time. Right, let's get through. I've flagged a couple because there's been multiple comments from multiple people, but I want to get through to these ones quickly. So, Maxim Uzreldes, I hope I've got that right. Are we winning 10 games this season?
Is this for me to answer, or is this for us all to answer?
we can all answer, but guess first, always.
Yes, we are winning 10 games this season. Yes, we are. Absolutely. I don't see why. I think our ceiling's higher than it was. As long as we make the right moves in the draft, I think we win. There's some games that we should have won last year that were just bad luck, and I think the teams in our division, certainly the Niners, have got worse, and it just gives us more chance. So yeah, we're winning 10 games this year.
Perfect. It's the weakest strength of schedule we've had in 5 years, apparently. So
thank the Lord.
And we got a decent amount of wins last year in a transitional year with all new coaches and everything. So I can't look past 10 wins.
Agreed.
Quick one from Gary. DeMarcus Lawrence is a great mentor for the young players as well. Yep, I'd love to see him working with your Derek Halls and whatnot, just to sort of really work on their pass rush, and even your boy Marfe's there. And whoever else we may draft. But let's see what comes up in the mock coming up. Jonas, one of our resident German Seahawkers, who's in here.
Hello.
He's also been a guest host on this and a guest on the pod. So one of the biggest beneficiaries of the Cup signing is JSM, who now has the Guten Abend, yeah. So good. Who now has the best mentor he can ask for because they're so similar. A lot of people in LA were praising Cooper for his teaching skills, and that's something that's been echoed on a lot of interviews as well. Yeah,
we said that, didn't we, at the start? I think it's going to be amazing for JSN. He's already, in my opinion, elite or on his way to being elite. If he can get some of that Cooper Cup knowledge, it's untapped potential.
Exactly. And we've got Yannick who's come in and said, I hope for a one-day deal so Tyler can retire as a Seahawk, but the departure now makes sense for me. Same for everyone. If he doesn't get picked up in free agency with the family, and I think the baby on the way, the fact he's got his real estate business because he is the nominated realtor for the Seahawks now. If he chose to retire, we brought him back on a one-day deal, let him retire as a Seahawk, I would not be mad at that. I don't think anyone would be.
It's going to happen. I think no matter where he goes, he retires as a Seahawk. So yeah, for sure.
And then we've got one more from Jonas. Dom, if the Seahawks do stick at 18, who would you run to the podium for if he falls?
Who would I run to the podium for? Tough on this. I think I'd be running to the podium for. Do you think Ashton Genty could fall to 18?
No.
Doesn't get past the Cowboys, and I think he's off the board when the Raiders pick. But I can't see it. But if it did happen, are you running to that podium?
Maybe not. Just after everything we've just said, considering the depth of the running backs, I'm probably not. You're probably right, Mitch. You've reined me in yet again. I'd be running to the podium for maybe Jalen Walker. Like, I think he maybe just slightly edges Jihad Campbell out. Like I said that I had them close, but I think Jalen Walker's an even bigger potential. So I think if he was there, you get everything that I mentioned about Jihad Campbell, but you get it in Jalen Walker. So and there's potential, I think, Mitch, that he could maybe fall to 18. So I'd run to the podium for that.
Positional value is the thing that goes in our favour for that scenario happening. I think. I don't think there'll be two teams before us that put that much value in a hybrid outside linebacker, edge rusher. There's not that many teams that need that as much as they need other things. So I do think one of them will be available, and could see it being Jalen Walker.
Nice. Right. And with that, shall we get on to our mock, gents? I've been looking forward to this. So, again, we're going to be using Walk the Mock. If you want to use Walk the Mock, by all means, you can sign up. Use code 12TALK. You get 20% off the full sign-up fee. We are going to be sticking with a vanilla mock, so no trades.
Boo.
I know.
No, it's fine by me. It gets too complicated otherwise.
We'd be here for another hour if we did trades.
It's true.
So let's do a default ranking because we've not done our own rankings yet. And let's get started. So, your boy James Pierce Jr. went at 10.
We get to test how sincere it was now. Is he running?
And that's it. So for those who can't see, you've got on the board Jalen Walker, you've got Michael Williams, you've got Jahdae Barron, Jihad Campbell's there as well, Mike Green, Matthew Golden, Colston Loveland, Malachi Starks. Emenwari went to the Falcons.
Okay.
No, he didn't. I should put my glasses on. Oh, Emenwari might still actually be there.
I'm struggling to see him. Can you show me what offensive linemen have been taken? I might go against everything I just said, but I just want to see if there's
Will Campbell has been taken.
He's gone.
By the as well. Pats. Yeah. Membu, Kelvin Banks has gone. And Tyler Booker.
Okay.
Run of 4 O linemen before we pick at 18. That's mad.
Mm-hmm.
That's why we've got so many defensive weapons available. I think.
I know. I kind of have to run. I think.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go.
Walker.
Jalen. Yeah, please.
Yeah, Jalen Walker, a Seahawk.
I said it earlier. I didn't think he would. Didn't think he'd get to us. So if he does,
if that scenario takes place, then absolutely there'll be defensive weapons there for us. So we were spoiled there. Mike Mack would be struggling probably with Emenori, Walker, Campbell.
I know. Yeah. Could you imagine?
Well, Jahdae Barron as well.
Emenori went to the Browns, so that's his career down the toilet. And then
good luck.
Amarian Hampton went to the Cowboys. That's
Good pick for the Cowboys.
Who did the Cowboys take actually with their first? Oh yeah,
I was going to say Genty went to the Raiders, and then they took Tyler Warren with their first pick.
God, that's such a great pick for them as well.
Now Tyler Warren, and then they got Omarion Hampton. That's
a great pickup of two players that they desperately need.
Yeah. Well, they need something to to shadow Dak's deficiencies, don't they? They do. Although they've now just got Joe Milton, haven't they?
Do you know what? Just a quick one. Are we on the clock here, or are we okay? Because just a quick one.
Right.
I was going to say what I kind of wanted to happen. Joe Milton, I've had my eye on. I was thinking that because I don't want you to look at quarterbacks for me, Josh. As we look through this list, I don't want to see a quarterback. Thank you very much. I don't want you to hover over one. I was going to say the reason being is because I would have looked to trade for Joe Milton, even if it was like we pass off our backup quarterback and maybe a sixth to get him, and I would have much preferred him on our roster as a backup than anybody that I would have taken from this draft at the time that I may want to take them.
Fair enough.
Okay. Just as an FYI. Well, because I'm not going early, so I'm almost saying don't show me the quarterbacks throughout the whole draft, but I can't say that for sure because I'll wait until we get down the bottom.
That's fine. Well, if we're looking at who's available now, you've got Benjamin Morrison, the cornerback from Notre Dame. You've got Ursary, the offensive tackle from Minnesota. Landon Jackson.
Can you show me wide receivers?
Yes.
Higgins, please.
Oh, that was nice and quick.
I thought,
you know what?
My audible ooh was literally for Higgins. I thought you might like that.
Higgins, please. Big body receiver, fast. It's what we don't have. It's what we really could do with. So, I'm really happy about that.
There you go. Benjamin Morrison and Jared Wilson just went. So that still leaves us with Ursary, Landon Jackson, Travion Henderson. Let's have a look. Your man Jackson's there. Xavier Watts, Tariq Williams, Carson Stressinger.
Who's what Jackson's there? Landon Jackson.
Yeah.
Is Donovan Jackson there?
No, he's gone, I think.
Is he gone?
He went.
Where did he go actually after we spoke about him?
He went to the Jets. So
another career down the toilet.
That's another career that's in a bin fire. Right.
Can you show me offensive linemen, please, including centers?
I can.
Oh, Marcus Embo. Tate Ratledge is there as well.
Yeah, Ratledge is a hell of a pickup, I think.
Yeah, I'm taking Tate.
Good choice.
This is a really interesting mock, actually. I would not mind these three picks.
I would love these three picks. Okay, where are we now? What pick are we at?
So we are now.
So it would be 72, I think, from memory.
Yeah.
Okay.
Round 3, pick 18.
So Cam Scatterboo's sat right there. Look.
Scatterboo's there. Harold Fannin Jr. is there, tight end from Bowling Green, who can also play at fullback, which we're going to be using this year.
Yeah.
You've got Noel.
I read something about Scatterbo being able to play fullback, by the way. Has anybody heard that?
I think that's what he'll play.
I think it's speculation as well, based on body type and how he plays. So much like Omarion Hampton's got that blocking ability, I think sort of Scatterbo, he's proved it as well in college that he can do it.
Sure.
So, I think he's limited enough as a running back to safely say he's not going to be a running back one in this league. But if you were to use him as an offensive weapon, like a utility piece, and
like a use check type,
and get big plays out of him, I think that is where his value is at the next level. So
I'm thinking a little bit like that in our scheme. But before I do, could you show me corners?
I can show you corners. Boom. Cornerback Jacob Parrish.
This is the bit of the pod where I always liken it to Countdown and asking for consonants and vowels.
Yeah. Cornerbacks, please, Carol. Yeah, I will. Jacob Parrish is a decent spot right there. Safeties?
Free and strong.
Makuba's quite good, you know. No, I'm going to go back to. Sorry, I'd be no good on the clock.
Don't worry about it. It's fine.
I think show me offensive lineman again. Is Wilson there? Centre.
Potential double dip.
No.
It's deep.
No.
Defensive
Wilson's
line. Oh,
gone.
defensive line and O-line.
Oh, sorry, O-line. Sorry. So did I say defensive lineman?
No,
No, we had
sorry.
it highlighted, so some of those results were.
Okay. No, I think I might have to. Maybe I go Scatterbo, just because I've spoke about him. I had him on my list. Maybe it's a bit early for him.
First to take him, so it makes for an interesting mark.
I can't wait to put all these out on socials. I'll be tagging you in this.
I feel like he might still be there with the next pick, though. I'm going to go. I'm going to go corner. Parrish.
There you go, Jacob Parrish. You are a Seahawk, right? And we're back on the clock. So
he's gone.
Scatterbo went to the Chargers. And as they've just jettisoned both of their running backs, I think that's something they need. Again, you've still got Harold Fannin there. You've got Shamar Turner, Jalen Royals. You've got Cal Kennard.
Yeah. I like him a lot.
Who else we got? Norman Lott, Makuba, Joshua Farmer, Will Howard's there.
Can you show me offensive lineman again, please?
I can.
Child, Miles Fraser. No, I don't like any of these.
Chris Lunt, I know someone that we've brought in for, or bringing in for a top 30 visit, but that's still too rich for my blood if you're going to take him here.
Yeah, it's reachy at this point for some of these, I think.
It is, yeah, definitely. I think we go to defensive line.
D-line and edge.
Yeah. I mean, Cal Kennard's, I like him. I'm going to take him.
Yeah, like that.
Yes. There you go. Cal Kennard, you're a Seahawk. And here we go into the
Mitch, I might need you soon because we're in no man's land for me.
I mean, you've touched on a lot of needs. Let's just recalibrate. Like we've got offensive line once, right? D line once.
Do you want me to recap who we've taken?
Yeah, go for it.
So we've got Jalen Walker, linebacker from Georgia. Then we went Jaden Higgins, wide receiver from Iowa State. Tate Ratledge.
I'm so happy about those first
guard
3 picks.
From Georgia. Jacob Parrish, cornerback from Kansas State. And then Cal Kennard, edge from South Carolina.
So I need to go back in.
We're feeling tight end at this point, right?
I was going to say I need to go back in, and it's either another lineman or tight end, depending on what's there. So, Miles Fraser, Josh
Gray, Conyers, Colby, Brenningstool.
I feel like the linemen have been pillaged in this mock.
Yeah, but they've run on them early has meant that well dried up pretty quick, didn't it?
Yeah, it has, because I thought there'd be a couple that would be still on the way down. Okay, let's go for a tight end. Mitch, what tight end is available
I've got a favourite in Luke Lachey, but I don't. Is Iowa tight end Luke Lachey on the board? Yeah, he is. Yeah, so I mean, I wouldn't necessarily take him. When's our next pick after this? What number are we on?
So this is round 4, pick 35. Then we're round 5, pick 34.
I think Luke Lachey, round 5, is a great pickup. So that would be my thinking there. I'd be thinking we can get Luke Lachey from tight end U from Iowa, and maybe look edge maybe try and pick up the remaining edge talent here, and then tight end. Baron Sorrell's interesting, but not
safeties. Can I just see them as well?
Yeah,
just to see what's there now.
Oh, we've got
Sanka
as well.
Jalen Reed.
Jalen Reed is another one I really like.
Jalen Reed's all right.
Slam dunk Malachi Moore.
Okay, there we go. I'm going with Mitch on this.
Yeah, I think
Malachi Moore.
It is.
I think that's a great slam dunk there. Like that really adds to that safety room for me. I think that's great pickup.
Right,
again,
Josh,
it might have been able to get him in
the
the next round, but yeah. Tight end.
Right, tight end.
Yeah, let's. Oh,
There's your boy.
Did you?
Yeah. However, did we take a running back or no?
Oh,
No, not yet.
Let's go back to that run. I just saw Trevor Etienne.
Trevor Etienne's there, yeah. Jacques Hunter, who we've had in on
Hunter's
visits as
pretty
well.
good. Scroll down, see if there's anybody that's also.
Taj Brooks is fun. If you're looking for a hammer down after down, Taj Brooks is your boy as well.
I'm gonna take and this is insurance for K9. I'm gonna take Trevor Etienne. I just think that there's some DNA in there that I like Travis. I think he's good.
There's a
I
pedigree
think
there,
he's
isn't there? So.
yeah. There's a pedigree that's fallen
That's
too
fine,
far
'cause
from me.
We are back on the clock again, and you've still got Chris Lunt, which also then means Luke Lockie's still there as well.
Yeah, go for him.
Yeah,
we want tight end. We want tight end depth. Back to offensive lineman. We're gonna have to take now.
Bargain basement dip coming.
Pure upside. That's what we're after now. So we've got 2 picks in round 7.
Xavier Truss is nice at this point.
Yeah, let's go Georgia. Yeah, let's take him.
So Xavier Truss, and then with our final pick, what are you thinking?
Show me the QBs.
We get back to the bargain basement for the most important position in football. Let's go.
Show me the bottom of the barrel QBs. Well, just to add some context for those that are watching, listening, whatever. Like, if we've gone what we've done this year for Sam Darnold, like I don't want to muddy the water. I also don't want to throw people saying, oh, maybe we take Jackson Dart in the second or whatever. Like, I don't want any of that. I don't want any of that hubbub, that buzz. I want us to totally commit this year to Sam Darnold to see what he's got. Next year, if he's ass, sorry, I don't know if I'm allowed to say ass, but if he's ass, then next year the QB class is so much better. We can maybe try to trade up and get somebody that we actually really want. Like, this is not the year for us to be taking a QB. Let's double down on what we've decided to do. No hedging bets here. And even if we do, then backup name escapes me. But he started all year with the Commanders the year before. Yeah, so, like, he's a starter. Or he's not a starter, but he started a full season. So if we have to go to him because Sam gets injured, at least he's got a full season under his belt. So there's no point in taking one of these. No, let's move away. Nobody's
Talk
there.
yourself out of it.
Yeah. I don't know. Any good kickers about? I'm joking. I think we probably just have to go.
BPA would be.
Can we do best player available? Yeah. What's that?
Jaquavius Marks.
Yeah.
I'm not going to take him just because.
One as another. I know it's another tight end, but he's a good player. I just don't know whether taking 2 tight ends is good.
No, not for me. Because I actually think Fant will be okay.
Yeah, and we got Brady Russell as well, who did a serviceable job, who I think will get snaps at fullback as well. So there's a lot. Let's take that
Florida tackle, Brandon Crenshaw Dixon.
Bosh.
Just because.
6'7" tackle from Florida, and there we have it. Great mock. So let's have a quick run through before we close out the show. So with pick 18, we took
Jalen Walker. Sorry, that was stressful.
It is, isn't it? We took Jalen Walker, linebacker from Georgia. Then we took Jaden Higgins, wide receiver from Iowa State. Tate Ratledge, interior lineman, so guard from Georgia. Then we had Jacob Parrish, cornerback from Kansas State. Kyle Kennard, edge from South Carolina. Malachi Moore, free safety from Alabama. Trevor Etienne, running back from Georgia. Luke Lockie, tight end from Iowa. Xavier Truss, interior O-lineman from Georgia. And then we had Brandon Crenshaw Dixon, offensive tackle from Florida. There's a lot of winning pedigree from programs in there. If I'm looking at how many Georgia players? 1, 2, 3, 4 Georgia players in that.
And I'll tell you why it's a terrible mock, and you've done an awful job. I'll tell you why.
Go on.
There's not a single Michigan player in there, so we know it's not a Seahawks draft.
Oh, there you go, Mitch.
There's always a Michigan player in there.
Your hat trick would be well off the board with this mock, wouldn't it?
It would
So
be.
in case you don't know, Dom, Mitch has rightly predicted 2 Michigan players in the last 2 drafts for the Seahawks. He got Mike Morris, and then he got AJ Barner, and he's looking for a third. If it's going to be Michigan or not, we'll get to that when we have our one of our pods right before the draft. We are having a pre-draft party pod as well to get people on, so you're more than welcome to drop in, share a cocktail with us, tell us what you think's going to happen. We're in, right? But there you go. So that was episode 4 of Draft Crushes. Dom, thank you so much for coming on, mate. It's been a long time coming, and I really appreciate you making the time for us. Before we sign off, do you want to tell everyone where they can find you?
Yes, thanks for having me. It's been great, Mitch, Josh. Appreciate it. I follow all your stuff, listen to your podcast when I'm in the gym. I love it. So thank you, and it's been good fun to actually be able to sit and talk for more than 5 minutes about Seattle Seahawks. So I'll happily do it again. But yeah, anybody who's listening can find us on Instagram at In The Endzone UK, X at In The Endzone UK. You can ask Alexa to play the most recent podcast, all that kind of jazz, if you want to get fancy. But we are on Spotify, Apple Music, Audible, all that. And yeah, please share, listen, and it's been a pleasure coming on.
Absolute pleasure having you, dude. I mean, same for us. You can follow us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, Amazon, all those podcasting bits and bobs. You can find us at 12 Talk Pod on X, Instagram. There's a Facebook group you can like and follow. We're also on TikTok as well. We just really appreciate having as many people in this community as possible. You can join the Discord as well. The link is in the comments, which are down below. Dom will be getting in there. You can come and join us with a bunch of 12s from around the world. And it's always good, especially at this time, where we get some real good insight from people all across the league, or all across the world, talking about the Seahawks and who we might draft. I was going to say thank you to everyone for sticking with us. It's been a long pod, but they always are when we really have a good time, let's face it. So from me, from Mitch, from Dom, should we finish with a Go Hawks? You don't get to say this on In The Endzone UK. So we finish with a Go Hawks, and then we're going to hit that outro music. So I'll do it on 3. Let's try to get it on unison. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Go Hawks.
Go Hawks.